Hi Tea Society, welcome back to the Antisocial Planet, and today we are checking out Seventeen's Happy Birthday album, part one of several, because there are so many songs on this album called solos, and I forget just how many members of 17 there are. I'm so used to seeing them that my brain doesn't fully compute how much 13 is. We have at least one group song left that I haven't listened to yet, and then all of the solos. So I'm going to try and not be intimidated. We'll take it one song at a time. All right, HBD, I'm going to assume happy birthday, but also they have the happy birthday, but also it could mean something else. Who knows? These K-pop titles do be trying my ability to decipher abbreviations of any kind. That's just not how my brain works. So I'm assuming happy birthday. I'm just trying to process the fact that Donghan is not here. It continues to bother me. I didn't sign up for 12, okay? Anyway, let's see what we got. Whoa. Whoa.
Happy birthday to you. 털어들건 이 세상엔 없었어. 골치 아픈 얘긴 껌딱지 같잖아. 힘내라는 말 위로되지 않았거든. 말 같다는 소린 그만해.
Whoa. Okay. Just right off the gate with that one, like the bass in that is wild. The immediately launching in to all like the vocals and stuff. I think it's really interesting to say happy birthday, like obviously like a celebration, right? But also almost like this rebirth in a lot of ways, right? I feel like that's what we're playing off of with the whole like happy birthday. Like it's this idea of reinventing yourself. And there's a little bit of like Frankenstein's monster as well in Thunder, right? Where it's reinventing yourself, leaning into, I guess, like being the villain in somebody's story, even if you're the hero in yours, right? Because if you think of Frankenstein as like the novel, Frankenstein, like the doctor, is I am the hero of the story. He's the narrator of the story, and he's the hero from his perspective, but he's the villain in the monster story who is like, oh, is he really a monster? That's a part of the story, is which one is the monster really? And I think that it's interesting here too, where they seem to be leaning into that, right? Where we have like Thunder and like bad influence, right? So I think it's really interesting to have this concept of birthday is almost like a renewal of being like, hey, happy birthday, of like happy celebration of you becoming like a new person and letting yourself break out of some of that. Even with Vernon's line, we talk about like sticky headache, talking like nonsense, something being like uncomfortable and wanting to push it out. Even like I saw the next line was talking about, I'm like tired of like finger pointing, right? Like this idea of letting yourself again step into kind of an antagonistic role because you're like, I'm tired of saving face. I'm tired of living up to someone else's expectations. Let me just be myself and celebrate that. Crazy instrumentation already. Like the amount of experimenting they're doing on the production of this album is already intriguing me, and I've heard like 2 songs. Like all the layered vocals. And that beat pack comes in. The bass line's great here. Oh, we're doing violence now? Ooh, I love that one. I love the way that Joshua did that vocal there at the like end, kind of accented, but this idea of, again, even if I was born again, right? Birthday, right? I would want to be who I am right now. Like I was saying, reinventing yourself and being like, I'm stepping into who I truly want to be, or like this new form of myself where I can shed the expectations of me fitting into who I used to be, right? And instead just step into who I truly am. And especially for them, this is an album that has come after a long career. They've been in the business for a while, right? That's what, 10 years? If I'm remembering debut correctly. Forgive me, that was before I got into K-pop. So my experience of debut 17 is going back through stuff. But that's a long time to be doing stuff. This album is about them doing like their solos. They're all having an individual voice where they all get to do their own thing. And it definitely marks an important part in their career of they're not going to be the same people they were when they debuted, right? They're not going to be the same people they were like 5 years ago. They've done so many things. They've tried so many different things in terms of their career and their music, and expecting them to fit into that box forever is ridiculous. Anyone, right? It's not just performers. It's like we all grow up, right? We're not going to be who we were at teenagers. I hope not. You should not be the same person you were with a teenager, and you should continue to like learn and grow and evolve to who you are. And being held to those expectations can be really difficult, especially when you're in the public eye, right? We can see footage right now of who they were when they debuted, right? We can go back and we can see a bunch of video proof of who they were and go, why aren't you like this anymore? Why are you shifting into these other things? Why aren't you doing this anymore? And that can be really probably frustrating for them, right? So I love that they're like, hey, I would want to be the same person like I am right now. I don't want to change. I don't want to go back. I don't want to fit into the box that I've been put into. I want to be who I am. And it doesn't matter if you like it or not. I'm going to celebrate the fact that I am exactly the person I want to be. And I love that. A little grit there.
Happy birthday to you.
Ooh.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
Wait, you're coming in too quick, S-Scoops. I gotta catch my breath for a second. I love how rock inspired that is. Obviously with the promotional photos for this, it was very like grungy and like punk inspired. And I was like, okay, that could mean anything in K-pop, right? Like people like to play with a punk aesthetic in K-pop and then not actually give me anything that's close to that sound. But I think it works. Obviously it's not like incredibly leading into punk, but it's leading into some of those like rock pop punk sounds, and I think that works really well for what they seem to be going for, which is like rebelling against what is expected, both in terms of the K-pop sound. How much of that influence do we get in a lot of K-pop? It's a little bit more now. I feel like I have seen more of like rock influence in K-pop in more recent things than back when 17 started. Even that is leaning into breaking the expectations of what is like a sound for a K-pop group, breaking out of what is expected for 17, right? No one does a fun poppy song quite like 17 does. So I think that it's again breaking those expectations that people might have, but also like rock and punk are a very rebellious music genre anyway. So I like that they're picking something like that as the sound for this, and they're letting it breathe. Right? They're letting it sit there and be like a bit of a celebration of just like having the music playing. They're not trying to like put any more like words over top of it and explain themselves. They're just like, I'm going to have this celebration of being exactly who I want to be in this moment, and letting the music kind of breathe for that and having that more rebellious sound. Beautifully done.
Happy birthday to you.
I love a good guitar though.
멍청이라 욕먹으면 어때 하나부터 열까지 강요받는 세상에 뜨거워진 내 맘을 얕잡아봐선 안돼 끝낼 때까지 끝까지 run 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 맘대로 내 맘대로 yeah yeah
Don't growl at me, sir.
쇼핑 겪어서 소원을 빌어 이루어질 거야 Happy birthday to you.
Ooh, I know I'm interrupting. I know I am. But there's like hey, it's almost like it sounds like it's a vocal sample, but it's like way buried in the back and there's like post on it. Love this idea of even if I'm cursed at for being kind-hearted. I think that's so interesting. I'm not going to fit into what people want me to be, like the genuine side. And I think that was something we talk about a lot as like carrots, right? Is that we see how genuine a lot of 17 is in terms of the content that they put out, right? And some of that comes across because they're involved in making their own music, right? So they're able to communicate what they want in their music a lot more freely than some of the other groups are who have people who like write stuff for them. And I don't know if like one is better than the other, because it's a lot to be able to know about production and songwriting. That's a lot to have to take on whilst also being a performer and doing all of the other things, right? But it does mean that we get to know which stories they want to communicate, right? Because they're very much involved in creating their music, curating their music, and even just in their variety content, there's this genuine feeling to the way that they present themselves that I think translates really well. But that also means that you're opening yourself up to that criticism. And I think it's really interesting to say being a kind-hearted fool, someone saying that you're foolish for being kind-hearted in an industry where that doesn't necessarily always sell. And for something like K-pop or like any kind of pop music, where it's very curated, it's very intentional, there's lots of things about it where you're supposed to be putting on a persona for the performance. I think it's really fascinating. Like showbiz in general, I think that everyone has a branding to the way that they want to present themselves, right? Yeah, like for everything is forced from 1 to 10, right? Like the idea of people forcing a certain persona, and it's, I'm not going to do that. Even like with 17 being part of their own music, they dig into topics that aren't just like fun pop songs, right? Like I say, for all of me being like, hey, no one writes a fun pop song like 17, they also have lots of songs that are like, hey, let's talk about things that we're struggling with. Let's talk about things that are going on with us. Let's talk about the fact that fans reach out to us and they talk about our music and the things that we create, helping them through difficult times. Let's talk about that. Let's not shy away from that. And especially considering some of the things that 17 went through before this album came out, right? The 4 or 5 years before this came out, there's so many things that they went through. And they're one of the groups that I know didn't shy away from the fact that things were difficult and talked about things in a way that some of the other groups were not able to in the same way, because they're from like bigger companies and they don't have the same kind of control over what they're doing or what they're able to talk about. So I think it's really interesting to be like, I don't care if I get judged for being genuinely who I am. I don't care if people point fingers and say that I should be doing something else. I want to be this person. This is exactly who I should be in this moment. Yeah, and like fighting for it, right? I like the layered vocals in the back.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
The like synths are really fun too.
Happy birthday to you. 오늘은 날 위한 나만의 celebration night. 멈추지 않을 거야.
Ooh.
It's like happy birthday, yeah. In your chair. 계속 불 지필래. I don't care. 어지럽게. 오늘 밤을 미쳐버릴래. Let's go.
Whoa, there's some crazy high vocals layered up there. I was just gonna say, I love that we got a little bit of vibrato in some of this from Uzi. There's some crazy layered vocals in the back of part of that. Like, who was hitting that super high note? I could guess, but I'm like, there's so many of the vocal line can hit like crazy high notes that I'm like, who knows? But this build up and the production.
Happy birthday, yeah. In your chair. 계속 불 지필래. I don't care. 어지럽게. 오늘 밤을 미쳐.
Right there. It's a high note. That's cool, that rolled R.
Happy birthday to you.
Ooh, that's fun. That's a fun build up. And we get Hoshi later on in the song. He always brings the energy. And I love the rolled R on that, like, brah, right? Like having that in there is super fun. But also Tonight is Crazy, saying like a celebration and letting yourself be seen as a little bit crazy and letting yourself be seen as an outlier and a little bit rebellious. And I like that this has a good like dance beat at the end too. I don't know if they have any live performances or like choreo for this one, but I'm sure that it'd be super fun. And even if it doesn't, just like hyping up the crowd with this song would be super fun. Of letting yourself let loose. It doesn't need to have like specific choreography. You don't have to be good at it. You don't have to be doing anything specific. You just need to lean into the emotion of it, the feeling of it. Let yourself have fun. And if people judge you for it, that's a them problem. It's like easier to sing along with the like haze and everything, right? Like being able to bring the crowd into that celebration. And again, I like this idea of a birthday being not just the one day that you were born, but rebirth into a new form of yourself in which you're allowed to be truly who you are and not worry about like the judgment of that, or not letting someone get under your skin or keep you in that box that you're supposed to be in. And I think it fits so well with what they're talking about in the song, right? Introduction with like Thunder, where they're doing something that sounds very different for them than this. And then we have Bad Influence right afterwards, which is very much kind of leaning in to that I don't want to be put on a pedestal, right? I don't want to be held up to this like higher standard of perfection that I know I can't reach, right? I'm just a person and I want people to see me as the person that I am. Even if that means like I'm a bad influence, because I'm not going to be a perfect role model. I'm not going to be an idol the way that people want me to. So I think it's a great energetic way to start off this album, and then going into like solos of them getting to talk about what they want to and express themselves as like individuals, right? They don't have to try and play off of each other within the tracks, which I think is a really fun idea. This makes me nervous. Skyfall. Minghao solo. This makes me so nervous because I know what he's like with his solos. And I don't think I'm mentally prepared for what this might put me through. As someone who's like an artsy person, this could go anywhere. It's fine. I'm fine. Ooh. Okay, vibey. Whoa. Whoa, before we get into it, he has a softer voice anyway, so having a softer delivery, but like having this almost like whisper tone to the way that he's singing, there's a lot of air happening. It's such a like somber way of starting, and that feels very in line with what we're seem to be talking about, right? The blue wallpaper, this idea of trapped inside, right? Feeling like everything's falling down. Skyfall makes me think either feeling like you're dropping, like the ground's falling out from under you, or the sky is falling down, as like you talking about how it feels like everything is falling apart, right? It feels almost like this end of the world feeling, this all-consuming feeling, and having this very soft delivery, these like pauses in the way that he's singing. And I also think it's really interesting that we got through most of this line before some of that bass started to come in, so that beat pad, because I was expecting that earlier, and I like that it held off, right? There was more kind of empty space in a bunch of the production, some reverb happening, which I think really makes this feeling of like emptiness, right? Like the reverb has this like echo effect. So I think it's really interesting to have all this kind of empty space, pauses in the vocal melody, pauses in the instrumentation. There's not like a ton going on in the production yet, and it almost feels like free falling, right? Like you don't have a point of reference to know exactly that you're falling, right? Or like how fast you're falling or what's going on. Really interesting sonically. Wow. Yeah, like being thrown back. Whoa. Whoa, wait, first off, this like dance beat coming in I think is so interesting, but again, it's not like super heavy, right? It isn't like a club sound. It's not like filling it all in. It's like a lot of percussion coming in, and then these like synths higher up, right, with his like lighter vocals cutting through some of it. I think it's such an interesting sound. Like it has a darker tone to it, and again, the like sky falling, right? The idea of everything like easy, right? Like the idea of everything falling apart around you. Even looks like we switched into some Chinese as well. Like I love him bringing some of that in, reflective of where he is from and all of that. But I also think it adds to the disorientation that we start to talk about in the lyrics, where he talks about being on the ceiling, stepping on the ceiling, this feeling of, again, the disorientation, the not having that reference point as you're free falling to be able to like see where you're at, and like switching from like English, Korean, Chinese, right, is that feeling of disorientation of where do I belong and what is the kind of reference point for how I'm feeling right now, or like where I'm supposed to be. And I think it's so interesting that we have the like a voice that I recognize throws me back, right? This idea of an internal monologue or a thought that you keep repeatedly coming back to when you have those moments of quiet. And then we have I can't fall asleep with noise. Having so much going on in your head, you can't quiet it down enough for you to relax, but you also feel like you can't do anything. It's such an interesting idea. And like, again, like the ceiling has this feeling of being trapped inside. Going back to the earlier lyric, even when I'm walking on the ceiling, I can't get out of this like space that I feel confined into. Really interesting. Sonically, lyrically, the vocal delivery is beautiful as well. I love that like descending synth too. Beautiful vocal. Ooh, just before we get back to the chorus, I think it's so interesting we have this, again, wanting to go back in a lot of this, right? Returned calendars, like faded calendar, a past moment, right? Wanting to hold on to the past, or even like placing a kiss, right? Is this idea of, I take it as like missing the past, craving the past, seeing the past as better than where you are right now, and having almost this nostalgia for it, which is really fascinating. Again, like wanting to go back to a different time where maybe things felt easier or simpler, or you felt less of that disorienting feeling. And again, I think it's really interesting that we have him switching into 3 different languages, even like switching from like Korean and English like mid-line. Obviously incorporating a lot of English into K-pop songs is very common, but again, it's that back and forth, it's that constant switching, it's that constantly using like these 2 languages that are not his native languages, right? It has this disorienting or out of place feeling within the way that the song works. Fascinating, like construction wise. And I love the way that his voice is just floating. There's like a nice reverb on it, that the voice itself feels like it doesn't have any grounding to it. Whoa. Is it like a tire screeching sound? That's really interesting too. Whoa. The distorted voice is really interesting in this concept too. Whoa. Okay, several things. One, the like tire screeching sound is interesting, almost like feeling yourself speeding ahead to something that you don't want, right? And feeling like you want to hit the brakes and maybe you can't. Especially again, if we're talking about like the kind of free falling feeling when you don't have any point of reference, it can be very disorienting, but also the fear doesn't quite fit in, like hit, because again, you don't have a point of reference. Whereas when you can see the ground, you start to worry, right? That's when things start to get scary. So I think that is really interesting. Like when you can see how far you're falling and you want to like pump the brakes and be able to stop what's happening. And it almost feels like we have a bunch of the elements, all of the production kind of crashing in, and the instrumental part is almost like all of the noise kind of building up before it goes back to what it was at the beginning with a lot more minimal, and it feels a little bit more like being suspended in kind of the air, which is really interesting. Again, like I think that there's so many things that he's pulling from, of that feeling of being disoriented and feeling like things are falling apart around you, crumbling around you, but you're trapped inside, right? If you feel like the walls are caving in and you're stuck inside, you can't get out, right? So you're just kind of like hoping that everything stays together, right? Like you can just kind of keep everything from crashing in around you because there's nowhere to go. Is like such a good metaphor, heartbreaking metaphor, but a good metaphor for what it can feel like sometimes when you're like losing control of what's going on internally, or even like externally, having things going on externally that can make you feel like you no longer have that like autonomy in your life and like the direction it's going to go in. Really interesting song, and sonically really interesting too. Very like electronic based, like dance based, which I think fits really well with Ming Hao in general, like reflecting some of who he is, like being a dancer, but experimental, which is something I expect from him in terms of what he brings to his solo stuff. I'm gonna have to think on it, like it's gonna sit in my brain for a while. Fortunate Change, Joshua. I'm hoping that is optimistic because it seems like it should be. His voice is so good. Anyway. Whoa. Okay. I was expecting, but
너를 만난 후 모든 게 새로워지는 기분이야. 혹시 너도 같은 맘일까? 아니려나.
ooh.
You reached out your hand, 난 이미 달라지고 있었나 봐. 하늘에 구름이 꼽혀도 아무렇지 않았었는데 혹시 감기 같은 건 아닐런지.
Whoa, okay, already the vibes of this. Absolutely. His voice, like we had that little like pause, and then he like went to a little lower part of his voice. Beautiful. Also, I'm being reminded that I have yet to exit my Joshua phase, and I'm very upset about it. Okay? Something unlocked in my brain. Always been a fan of Joshua. Big fan. Something unlocked in my brain around the Maestro era, and I just never really recovered. And now I keep going back and I'm rewatching stuff from before where I was fine with Joshua, and now I am not fine with Joshua. And that I'm offended by, because I am a hip hop team bias. It's simple, it's snappy, it makes sense. And now Joshua wants to wander in and mess that up for me. All right? I didn't make an exception for any of the other members. And now this whole time, I'm just like, what a problem. You're writing a sweet like love song of everything changed for the better. And I wasn't expecting to meet you, and now we're here, and I'm just waiting a moment. Okay, fine.
You reached out your hand, 난 이미 달라지고 있었나 봐. 하늘에 구름이 꼽혀도
Beautiful little falsetto from him too.
혹시 감기 같은 건 아닐런지. Then you came and stood by me, baby. 자연스레 세상이 따뜻해져. I'm in love, I'm in love, I'm in love. 이제 알 것만 같아. Since the moment you arrived. Yeah.
Do not yeah at me, sir. With all those like mix head voice things, and then you're like, I'm just gonna go into chest voice with that yeah. No, absolutely not. But I love how just like bright this sounds, right? It's a little bit dreamy, which I think fits really well with this kind of like falling in love with someone and having like falsetto. Even it's just like this light kind of airy sound. And I love that image of flowers like bloomed in the sky. It didn't even register with me. Like this idea of something like fantastical happening or something like beautiful, dreamy happening. It didn't get to you because you're just like focused on your own things. And now you're like, now suddenly the world looks like a little bit brighter, a little more magical. And you're like, wait, what's happening right now? Even him like comparing it to cold. It's interesting. Is this something that's gonna pass, right? This is something that I catch and then I'm gonna get over it and I'm gonna move on with my life. And instead I feel like I'm stuck. It's like lingering. I'm seeing some parallels with my own recent experience with Joshua. I was also expecting this to pass. Okay, I've had Joshua moments where he's wrecked me, he's come for me, and then we've moved past it. We've come to an understanding. He's not going back to his place as wrecker. I'm fine. It's a really cute song though. I like these chunky guitars.
Yeah. 어제보다 더 선명한 어제보다 더 따스한 너에게는 유일한 fortunate change 같은 길을 걸어가도 같은 것을 봐도 새로워 fortunate change
Ooh, we're putting brass into it. I love this idea of you are my fortunate change, right? Like this idea of something shifting, even like talking about going to the same places, doing the same things, seeing the same things that you have before. Like all of the world that you've already experienced looks different now, feels a little bit brighter, feels a little bit more magical. Like I was saying, it's, oh, I wasn't noticing any of those things. And now that I've started to feel this way, everything, there's more color in things, right? There's more vibrancy in the world around me. And it can be like all of the same things that I've experienced for everyday life, and now it feels different. Everything feels a little bit shifted, right, because of this. And I think that's such a cute sentiment to be like, and it's not like some like grand gestures, everything is uprooted. It's like everything, it feels like I'm living a new life now, which is like a fortunate change. Even this like idea of suddenly everything shifts, right? It's like an unplanned thing, right? This like fortunate change being something that was unexpected, unplanned, came out of nowhere, and you're just like adjusting to it, but like in a positive way, right? I think that that's such a cute like sentiment, especially for a love song, to just be like, my life in every aspect and like the mundane is just better because I've met this person. This person is in my life, even like peripherally, right? This isn't even talk about like, being in a relationship with someone or developing anything in terms of a romantic relationship, right? Just because I know you and because I feel the way that I do, everything's a little bit brighter. And that's so cute. I'm fine. And they brought brass into the instrumentation. Just mean, Joshua. Just mean. It grooves too.
Yeah.
I like that it just like, there's a build and it just softens out. Oh, love this part. Even that, like, you're the one and only, right? Like, it's cute in the context of a love song, but it's, I know that this change is because of you. The only thing that's changed in this life that I got used to, right? I got used to the routine, I got used to the mundane, I got used to the surroundings that I had. None of that has changed. All of that is still the same as it always was. The only thing that has changed is that you're here now, which is why I know that you're like the cause of the fact that everything feels different, right? Like, even though on paper nothing is different, everything feels different. And I think that's just so cute. And I love how it just like grooves, like I was saying, it builds up and then it just softens. I think also it's just very symbolic of what it's talking about. Nothing is like this huge shift in my life because of this, but everything just softens out. Everything just feels a little bit brighter and softer, and there's like a nice groove to everything. It's so cute. It makes me a little bit angry. Great fit for his softer voice too. Ooh. I like the pullback. Fun layered vocals too. Yeah, I was like, give me the chorus one more time, but I like that, like, without a word, everything has changed because of you. Even like in the lyrics, you stood next to me and suddenly everything's different. Like I said, it's not even like something has happened. It's not even there's going to be a relationship or like a confession, or it hasn't even gotten that far yet. That's not even the point of the song. It's like literally the existence of this person in proximity to your world has shifted everything for the better. And I think that's just such a cute sentiment of just existing makes my life better. So cute. Why does he gotta be like that? Like, why does he have to write such a cute song and also have no idea of my existence? You know what I mean? It's fine. I'll just be single, whatever. I mean, just it's such a cute song, like the concept of it. And I think it's such a cute angle to take something like a love song, right? There's so many ways that you can write a love song. There's so many ways that 17 has performed love songs. And I think that it's such a cute sentiment to be like that moment of someone exists and you see them and everything just shifts, right? And you're like, you don't even realize what's happening. It's unplanned. You're not expecting it. There's a little bit like disorientation, and yet everything is like familiar but different, right? And it's such a cute concept to have as a song, and to think of it as like this fortunate change of fate stepped in, and that's the reason that my life feels better, right? Feels brighter, feels warmer, because it was like a chance crossing of paths, right? And I think that's just such a cute sentiment, and his voice I think fits really well with that. This like softer, almost like maybe city pop sound. Again, genres are not my strong suit, but to have his kind of softer, breathier voice I think fits so well with that, and having that like gentler like head voice falsetto shifting between those just fits really well into blending in to kind of the softer vibes of this overall song. I just feel better now. I just feel good after that. It feels like warm and fuzzy, right? Like it feels like a cozy like sweater, and I think that is just what I needed today. 99.9% Wonwoo. I'm excited for this. I miss him terribly. It's fine. Interested in, like, the 99.9% part of this. Is it about like putting in effort? Is it about like the contrast? What about the 0.1%? I don't know. Especially since he hasn't done a lot of solo stuff. I think also when this was released, had he released any solo stuff? Because I'm thinking, and he had done some with Mingyu, and then he did the stuff with Junghan. But I don't know if he'd ever done anything by himself. I don't think I've heard anything where he's by himself. Other than they did solos at one point, but they're like not official releases. I'm thinking out loud here. My point is I'm like, I don't really know which angle we're gonna go in. Ooh. Okay. I don't know what I was expecting, but I wasn't expecting a little piano.
깨달았을 땐 이미 99.9% 내 마음은 이미 너의 색으로 물들어 있어 하지만 마지막 0.1%가 부족해 아직 미완성이야.
Wait, I need to recover from the fact that we're getting this piano. Boy, look. Wonwoo is already my bias. He's already in the bias line. He has been since day one, okay? A little history on me getting into 17. Wonwoo was the first bias, all right? It escalated quickly from there, but he was the first one. And you can't put this little, what was like, what, swing, ragtime? I don't even know, but this piano is giving me, we're pulling from the past, we're channeling something. And this idea of 99.9% like sneaking up on you and being talking about what my heart has already dyed your color. I didn't even realize what was happening. And now I realized too late that I'm already basically too far gone. And his sweet little voice. Again, I wasn't really sure where we're gonna go, like genre-wise. He has a bit of a softer voice when he's singing anyway. I'm just like enamored. I'm like surprised and enamored, and I don't know what to do with myself. I like there's a fun kind of cadence too. Like pauses and pickup. Oh, about brass. Oh. Wait, before we build up, you can't bring brass into something. Wait, this might be my favorite thing that's ever happened to me. This is such a mixing of all the things that I love. I'm getting emotional because I'm so happy. This is because I just got done with Joshua and I was like, I have a problem with Joshua. And one was like, hang on. It's so cute. The formula and the like percentage rate, and even, oh, if you heard, would you laugh? Right? If I tell you what I'm feeling, what I'm thinking, would you laugh at me? And like the anxiety of that is just so cute. I just want to give him a hug. I normally want to give him a hug, consensually, obviously. But I especially want to give him a hug after that. I'm like, no, sweetie, it's fine. And if anyone hurts you, I will fight them on your behalf, okay? Just let me know. Point me in the direction. Oh, I love this so much. Oh. Oh, his voice. Oh. Wait, this piano. I'm like tearing up, and it's not because there's anything sad happening. It's like a mixture of I am so happy because this has a bunch of things that I love in a music and like a song, but also like this weird pride. It's also because I miss him. I think that's also part of what the emotions are, is that I'm just like, it's hitting me a little bit how much I miss him. We're gonna go through this again when I get to Junghan, but I think it's also just like pride, like he's singing and listen to him and his little like falsetto like higher notes there and having the different layered vocals and the harmonies, and I'm just so proud of him. And also it's so cute to think of 99.9% of the way there, and I need you to meet me there. And I think that fits so well with this idea of having this anxiety of, if I talk about what I'm thinking and feeling, will you laugh at me? I can't take that 0.1% final step because I don't know if you're going to meet me at where I'm feeling. I don't know if this is going to turn out, and I don't want to like fully 100% commit if it's not going to work out, or I'm going to have like my heart shattered. So if you could just like give me a hint, if you could just give me a little indication that it will be okay and you're not going to just laugh at me, then I can actually take that like last 0.1%. That's so cute. You know when the bias hits you really hard? When you're like, yeah, I have a bias, but they're all great. And then your bias comes at you and you're like, but I do have a bias. I'm having a moment. Fine, okay. I'm obsessed with this piano. I love the little do-do-do-do-do. 내가 그렇게나 특별해라면 너는 분명 마음을 숨기고서 웃겠지만. Okay, guitar. 많은 100% 정도로 확신이 있으니 걱정은 없어. 그래서 이게 사랑이라면 네가 듣고 농담으로 받아치렸네. 그치만 내 머릿속에 그 사실은 이미 답을 아는 건 wait. Okay, first off, I already was like, there's so many things that I love in this one song. You're like, I can also give you electric guitar though. Stop, you're spoiling me. Second, I love like this idea of, am I really that special? Doubt on both sides, right? Of saying, oh, this other person is, am I really special enough for you to feel this way about me, right? I'm being like, you're going to hide how you're feeling and also not commit yourself to this, right? Because there's also that anxiety. It feels like this strange like limbo, right? Of neither person wanting to take the next step or whatever, because you're like, but what if they say no? What if they don't feel that way? What if something happens? What if? And I love that he has this switched side of being like, I get it, 100% is more certain, right? 100% is better. And it feels like, oh, you can take the risk because it's not a risk, right? Whereas like 99.9%, it's like, that's a really good odd, right? But that 0.1%, and I say this as somebody with anxiety, I would also be like, yeah, but there's that 0.1% that this is not going to work out the way that I want it to, and that is enough for me to agonize over. So I think it's so cute to have the other side of it, of being like, I get that like you also have some of these doubts or like self-confidence things, or like we're both like teetering on the edge of like actually talking about what's going on but not fully committing. We started off with the 8 being in his emotions. Then y'all are like a couple of cute love songs back to back. And I need y'all to leave me alone. I need y'all to stop. I can only take so much. And like, there's nothing to worry about. Like, I'm gonna take that 0.1% once I know.
이미 답을 아는 것만 같아 99.9%만큼 내가 너를 좋아하는 것 같아 0.1%만 다가와준다면 그것만으로도 완벽할 텐데
Wait, the little like the piano and everything. And I was also thinking like the formula in my head, like the formula in my mind, right? We're talking about like the percentage and all of that, but it's also like your head fighting with your heart, right? Like your heart knows what you're thinking, but your head is getting in the way because it's all the anxieties, it's all the what ifs, it's all of the potential for other things to happen, right? And I think that's really fun, especially starting off the song where it's like, before I knew it, I was like 99.9% pretty sure that I liked you, right? Before I even like fully comprehended what was going on. And it's like your head catching up with your heart and you're like, wait, I haven't agonized about this yet. I haven't panicked. I haven't thought of all of the worst case scenarios, okay? Talking about the formula is such a almost depersonalized way of looking at it, right? There's a disconnect between the emotion and the actual kind of logical side of something like a formula. It's such a cute mixture, right? Like the idea of mixing kind of the mental with the emotional, and again, like the anxieties back and forth. And it's just the piano, I'm obsessed. I think it's so fun. I think it has almost like a theatrical about it. There's something like musical theater about the performance of it that I think also just fits into this idea of making something like more dramatic than it actually is, right? And this like agonizing about all these things and be like, hey, we both probably feel this way, and we're both just like letting our heads get in the way of what we actually feel. And yet neither of us can really let go of it. It would be perfect if I was 100% sure that this would work out. That 0.1% is freaking me out. So I think that having something that feels a little bit like musical theater is leading into some of that. And I think it's so cute. And I think he's just singing through the whole thing.
나의 사랑은
Aww.
끝나지 않는 거니까.
Oh, that's so cute. Then like at the end being like, after the anxiety of this would be so much easier if I was 100% sure of what your answer would be, or 100% sure of how this is going to work out. And then to be like, whatever your answer is, yes or no, it doesn't change the way that I feel. Like I understand going from even like love at the end, right, in comparison to I like you 99.9%, right? And at the end it's he's taken that last step, right, that 0.1%, and now I'm committed now, so whatever your answer is, This is still how I feel. That was so cute. I'm gonna like malfunction so much. I will listen to that song so much, but the pianos were so fun. The vocals were beautiful. I love the layered harmonies and things going on. I like that he synced the whole time. The guitar coming in, the brass, the like bright sound. Just the cutest concept. I'm gonna need several moments to recover. I'm upset with myself that it's taken me this long to listen to it. That's the biggest thing. I'm disappointed that I didn't hear this the second that it came into existence. My heart. I'm honestly thankful that was the last song I was planning on doing for this video, because I don't think I can recover fast enough to give attention to the other songs. Like, I think I need to sit with that one for a while and just be a little bit too infatuated with Wonwoo. And you know what? That's my own business, okay? It's such a cool mixture of sounds. I think it's so interesting to go into the more experimental stuff that they were doing on this album for like the group songs. There was something so interesting and out of pocket from what I expect from 17 when it comes to the group songs that they did. So like Happy Birthday, I'm assuming HBD, I don't know, has such a like interesting sound, like deviating from what 17 has done before. And then going into the solos where like I didn't really expect there to be like a overarching kind of story between those things. Like I didn't expect anything that is going to link the flow of those other than like a basic way of like how they arrange them. I was expecting them to be like very individual, because that seems to be what they're setting up for this album, of being able to express themselves both as 17 but also like the nuances of who they are as individual members. So love that we're getting such a range already of what that's going to sound like. Skyfall is like such a like moody synthy electronic based thing, and then we get like this kind of like dreamy city pop sound from Joshua's, and then going into Wonwoo of almost this nod to musical theater, like fun, cute love song. And I'm not prepared. Like I knew I wasn't. I was like, this is going to be a lot to go through like solos for every single member. And I know that they were going to be good, but I'm already like overwhelmed by how I feel. I have so many emotions of just going through all of those. I need a moment. That's why it's good that this is coming to the end of the video, but I hope you enjoyed listening to that along with me. You can click this playlist to go to my previous reactions, or you can subscribe to me next time I post a 17 reaction. I will see you in the next video. Bye.